This has been Strictly Ball Business.
Strictly Ball Business.
Strictly Ball Business.
I like that video.
Shit.
Hello, welcome to Strictly Ball Business. I am your host with the toast. I actually don't have any toast. I wish I did. It sounds delicious. My name is Alec. I'm here with Dalton, and we are going to talk about the NBA in its fortitude and its multitude in its toody today, okay? We're going to go so fucking hard for you. You don't even know. I think it's been like 2 weeks off. You know, we're jittery. We're ready to knock you out of your socks with this knowledge. It's episode 56, which happens to be, voice crack there, by the way. Thank you. This is episode 56, the Francisco Elson Award. His full name, Francisco Marino Robbie Elson. He was 7 feet tall, 235 pounds, and he averaged 3.7 points in the league from 2003 to 2012. Somehow, we never heard of this guy. We were just talking about it before getting on this podcast, and this guy flew under our radar. You got to be honest about that one.
Believe it or not, the most notable guy to wear 56. All right.
Oh, yes. Yeah, exactly. You know, we had to settle for it. So, thank you, Francisco Elson. Today, we're going to talk about one of the teams he played for, the Milwaukee Bucks. We're going to discuss whether, what should they do in the next few years? Should they blow up some of the things they have? Should they, recycle it, trade it out for some new shiny stuff, or keep what they got going? Right now, this year, they're the championship favorite in terms of the betting odds. They are, I think, at least 15% above Golden State in terms of being the favorite. Yeah, I think I saw they were like maybe 43%. So people believe in the hype. I mean, last year they looked great, but Middleton was hurt. A lot of people think, if he was there, they would have been there in the finals, Bucks versus the Warriors. And, that would have been a hell of a matchup. Giannis against them would have been great.
Yeah, that's the final matchup I really want to see. Like, more than anything right now is like, because they're so polar different teams. We'll get into that, but I mean, they're so different. Like, it's so I can't wait.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. And we're also going to talk about another aging team, the Lakers, who considered the Buddy Hield, Miles Turner trade for both of their first round picks. Reportedly, that was something that they thought about doing, but clearly they haven't pulled the trigger on it for various reasons. So we'll talk about that a bit. And then, speaking of blowing things up, which the Pacers have done, we're going to talk about what other teams should blow things up and, try to maybe go after Victor Wembanyama. And we're going to talk a little bit about preseason. There's been a couple games. I've got tickets to next Friday, seeing the Spurs, or not the Spurs, the Nets are coming to town against the Wolves. So looking forward to that. But, we're going to talk a little bit about what we've seen so far. Interesting thing about the NBA preseason is the players actually play. Like the stars actually play a little bit. So, that's fun to see. And then last, we're going to talk about a young star that's budding. He is a little bit underrated. And his name is Chris Duarte. So that's what we'll finish the episode up with. But starting out here, Strictly Ball Business, episode 56. This is the Francisco Elson episode. We're talking about what should an aging Milwaukee Bucks team do in the next few seasons, say the next 3 to 5 seasons. What's the blueprint? What do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, it's tough because the situation they're in, it's certainly not like future. It's not the best. I mean, they're the championship favorites. I really like them. I think they're going to be great. I don't think there's anything to take away from this team. I don't know what you would add to it. I think they can go straight into the playoffs from what we've seen, then go straight into the playoffs, not having to make a major trade or anything. But Giannis, he's only 27. He's got, I feel like he's got a good 6 or 7 years while he's still in his prime. I still think he can play past that. 6, 7 years, I think he can play at 33, 34. He's a very athletic guy. Not saying he's going to be bad, but that's his prime will last. The only other guys that are like notably young are like Grayson Allen, who's 26, and Portis, who's 27. Neither of those two are budding stars or anything. They're decent pieces, good pieces. Don't get me wrong. But everyone else on the roster is 30 plus, and they like valuable guys. Like Middleton's 31, Drew's 32, Ibaka's 33, Lopez 34, Matthews and Ingles 35. All of them key pieces to what they do. They're gonna get old. Like in 3 or 4 years, they're proud, and some of them might retire. I mean, especially in 4 years, I don't think Drew will probably still be in the league. I just don't know if he's gonna be at the level he's playing at now. Well, I still profess we have yet to see him really decline. He's still
Drew is still, arguably the best perimeter defender in the NBA. And I don't see that going away anytime soon, as long as he doesn't lose his agility and his step. And, I don't really see that happening in the next couple years. So I see this team still being a perennial championship contender with this core for at least like 3 or 4 seasons. And I think after that, you're maybe hoping that some of the moves you made on the margin beforehand gave you an opportunity to find someone else, maybe make a big trade for a new star. I think that would make sense. And you never know who's going to become available. I mean, Donovan Mitchell got traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers this season. Who knows who could get traded to Milwaukee in a few years, just based on who would become available.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I mean, you got they had the 21st pick too, by the way. I'm not even going to try to say his name. But Beauchamp.
Oh, I think it's Beauchamp.
Beauchamp, he's 21, 24th pick in this first round. We'll see what he does. He really doesn't. He hasn't even played preseason yet. So, but I mean, it does worry me because you look at teams like the 76ers, the Raptors, and Celtics. They have their stars, but then they have young guys like the 76ers, Maxey. Embiid is young still, and they got Thibault. The Raptors have their slew of forwards. Celtics, obviously, Jaylen Brown and Tatum. Like, they're good now, and they're going to continue to be good because they have all those young stars. You just look at the Bucks roster, and they've got all these older guys. So it's a little like, what are they going to do? Because they're all like typically, and there's like 2 things to do when you're in I called it the Blazers zone, when you're just stuck in a purgatory, which they're not. They can still go out. I'm not saying they blow it up anywhere near, but I'm saying in 3 or 4 years, what will they have?
I think they're still going to be, fantastic in 3 or 4 years with the guys that they have. And I think they could easily find a new opportunity with somebody younger. The thing is, there's a lot of old rosters in the East. I mean, the Miami Heat are old. Yeah. The Brooklyn Nets are old. The Philadelphia 76ers are pretty old too. Like, Joel Embiid's young, but he's got injury history. And I would say I trust Giannis more in a big game than I do Embiid. And I think, like, realistically, Embiid's probably going to retire before Giannis. That's my gut feeling there. So I think like that kind of makes it a wash there, because I think anytime the Bucks are going to be against the Sixers in that end, the Bucks should win out. I think they're the better team. And Harden's old. I think he's been declining, but it's going to be a big season for him to prove himself. And maybe he'll prove me wrong. Maybe Harden will look great again, but I just don't see them getting over the hump for the Bucks. And then, I mean, what other old teams are there? Like the Bulls are definitely a little old. They got DeMar DeRozan as their best player.
Yeah, DeMar's older, but Levine's still young. Ball's still young.
But they're going to be garbage without DeMar DeRozan.
Vooch is older. Vooch is 32, I think.
Yep.
So, but
they weren't even good before DeMar DeRozan got there.
Yeah,
and
you can make an argument they weren't really good anyway. I mean, they've dropped.
They were pretty good. They were top 4 seed for a lot of the season.
No, they played well. I just like to gauge everything off the playoffs, because once it got to the playoffs, they kind of got
sure. No, that's fair, but you gotta give him credit for a great regular season. And Lonzo Ball might be out for this whole season. That worries me.
I don't know. I really like Lonzo, but oh my god! But
he said he hasn't even ran or jumped in since the last season.
Oh my god! Why would you even say that?
I know, it's like everybody heard that, they're like, "Oh, wow!" So you're like not even close to coming that.
Yeah, it's also an effort thing too. Like like even though he might not be allowed to, it's just like
If he physically can't do that, is what it sounds like.
Okay.
That's the
But that's another Bulls problem. But so this I do think they're gonna. I don't think anyone's gonna take on Drew Holiday's contract. I do think in a few years they're gonna be starting to talk about Middleton trades, and it's not just because I don't think Middleton's bad or anything like that. It's so right now, as of this season, the Milwaukee Bucks, the franchise, they're 26 million over the luxury tax, which means they're estimated to pay 69 million in luxury tax. Next year, as of right now, with the contracts they have on, they're gonna be just 5 million under the luxury tax. They're gonna be paying a ton, which is fine. Teams do that. You look at Golden State, they do it all the time. But they're also Golden State. This is the Milwaukee Bucks. They just make less because they're in Wisconsin. I don't know how long they can maintain that, and I think they're gonna start entertaining, one of those, taking Middleton and sending him out, trying to get a younger star, develop him next to Giannis. I mean, it wouldn't be unheard of. Like I'd like the idea of moving him to Golden State. Pick up Kuminga, Moody, Wiseman. I think that would be a decent package. Get some more young talent, fill in. However, this is 3 or 4 years down the road, and they might not even be a Golden State Warriors. Middleton might not even be that huge of a trade package in 3 or 4 years.
I mean, a couple of years, you're not trading for guys like Kuminga at that point. You're trading for the guys who are younger and who come to the draft and they're like their first or second season.
Yeah, I meant like the idea of like that type of trade that they're looking at, like a younger package that I can't think of one. I mean,
I don't know what players are in college right now that are going to end up being those players in the NBA, because that level of player, because we just don't know. I mean, we didn't know Tyrese Maxey would be this good in the NBA.
No.
We had an idea that he could be good, but I mean, so far he looks fantastic.
Yeah, no, definitely. But it's that type of players where they're like gotta look to get a little younger, because I don't think they can keep up that for 4 years, paying all that millions. Granted, while they have Giannis, they should be doing anything they can. But doing that, I don't think is a terrible move. Honestly, I think past a certain point, they kind of not hope as in a bad way, but if Giannis does get sidelined for a year, I think I see that more of as a blessing down the road, where they get the chance to make some trades, pull in some younger guys just to get that development out there but they're also not wasting Giannis's time. That's a big
I mean, I would never want Giannis to get injured. I don't think that would be really helpful to them, because like any year he's available, I think you're a championship contender.
Well, yeah, so, I'm not saying somebody's
screw you over for future seasons too.
True. Well, I'm not saying somebody sits outside of the locker room with a baseball bat and be like, "Give me those Greek knees, you son of a bitch. We got to save some money." Oh, no.
You're a psycho is what you are, son.
I'm just saying it worked out for the Warriors. They get to extend their run because they had younger guys. It wouldn't be the worst.
To say it's worked out for the Warriors isn't entirely true, because we don't even know if they've hit on the top draft pick. So far, their best draft pick was a second rounder. Or no, he was practically a second rounder. He was the last pick of the first round.
Jordan Poole was a huge part of their
That's
finals.
what I'm talking about. Yeah, he was the 30th pick in the draft, I'm pretty sure.
No, but he wouldn't have gotten the development he would have gotten if they weren't injured for 2 years, if they didn't have any of those. Because he was the main point guard a lot of it when Steph Curry was out, and then he played next to Steph Curry. He wouldn't have had that development if the other players didn't get injured. You know what I mean?
Maybe. I mean, it's very possible he's still developing into a great player either way. I mean, I don't know if him playing losing basketball was necessarily, I mean, obviously it helped his development, but I think he still could have become who he is because he was always around those coaches.
I'm not convinced. I do think there's a huge part in the NBA is like there could be guys who are really good, but they only play 5 minutes a game right now because they haven't had that one game that impresses a coach where they can get more minutes. I do think some players at a higher level can just play better.
I think that's probably like 5% of players are not being
utilized.
Being utilized enough. I mean, I think for the most part they're probably getting it right, but maybe it's higher. Maybe it's like more like 10%. But like that would be on coaching incompetence. And obviously there are some incompetent coaches in the league, so that does occur. But for the most part, I feel like they get it right on the talent.
Yeah. But also, I also get the feeling that if they do fall into that Blazers zone where, if, say, Middleton, I mean, they're all older. They're like, a lot of their huge pieces are older, and if they leave and Drew Holiday takes a step down where he's suddenly not that championship level third scoring option, and Middleton takes some steps down, as it happens when you get older and you get stuck in the Blazers, you just can't get over that hump. I'm not convinced Giannis stays if they're stuck in that for a while. So that's the concern that has me like, what do you do? If you're, obviously look for a trade, but at that point you can't get a better trade for the guys if they're already declining. You're not going to get a better player for them.
I mean, yeah, if you get to a point where you're trading Middleton, I think you can get hopefully a decent young player back. But if you're trading Giannis, like, it's a completely different scenario. Like, it's just a rebuild at that point.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, maybe they just, so somebody who's like, doesn't have to be a young player in 3 or 4 years, just a younger who still has like 5 years left in their prime, like a Desmond Bane. I mean, he'll probably, in 3 or 4 years, he'll be like 27, 28. That'd be worth it. I mean, Bane, probably someone else for like Middleton, and maybe they just need that fit, and then there's obviously more guard offense open, so they want a guy like Desmond Bane who would fit perfectly next to Giannis. Maybe that's something they move into. I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe in 3 years we'll do a Middleton trade video. But
yeah, we'll see.
What do you guys think? What are your guys' ideas? Do you think these Bucks are going to live forever? They're just going to play into their 40s at the rate they are? Comment below. Let us know. Another, as you mentioned, was an older team, is the Los Angeles Lakers. The team everyone loves to talk about, even though they haven't really been relevant for like 3 years. But here we are talking about the Lakers again. So this offseason, everyone talked about it, that this Pacers trade, that they're going to send Russell Westbrook to the Pacers. According to The Athletic, it was a real thing. There was a trade out there. It was 2 unrestricted first-round picks, the 2027 and 2029 for the Lakers. They were going to trade that along with Russell Westbrook for Buddy Hield and Turner. First off, I want to hear, would you have made that trade? Second off, do you think they made the right choice?
Well, I don't understand why Indiana wouldn't take the trade if it was on the table.
I think it was the Lakers that declined.
Yeah, so I mean, I understand a little bit why Lakers would decline, especially for them both to be unprotected. I feel like you need to put some protections on at least the 2029 one for that to even be a palpable deal. Because, I mean, yeah, Russell Westbrook is kind of a negative player. At least he was last year. But, there's still a little bit of hope for redemption. So, maybe he can figure it out. And regardless, they've got a smarter point guard in the room now, Patrick Beverley, who, I think they just wanted to double down on pissing off Russ and get him into like mad Russ mode, because I think he plays well when he's pissed off. So I think they did that on purpose, no doubt, because they definitely want to have him barking at him in practice.
Yeah. Well, Pat Bev said that when he started at training camp, his first friend and like his closest friend on the Lakers has been Russell Westbrook so far. So, I mean, maybe he'll unlock Russell. I mean, look what he did to Cat. Cat's now like in dog mode, and he has been, and he's ready to go. Certainly helped with the elevation of not so much D'Lo, but he helped D'Lo's defense to get that mindset, not physically, but and Edwards. I don't know if he'd be the same player if Pat Bev wasn't there.
I mean, Patrick Beverley's presence on the Wolves made a tremendous difference.
Yeah. If you look at the trade, does it make them better? 100%. Buddy Hield, well needed. Turner, perfect fit next to Davis. I think it's great. Locks down on defense and shooting, which is what they lack. They lack that right now. They get rid of Russell Westbrook, so many dead possessions. I don't think Russell Westbrook's a bad NBA player. I think as a third star on a championship team, no. $50 million, no. But if he was let's put him into a place. Put him into, if he was the starting point guard for the Heat making $20 million, I don't think many people would care. I think they'd be like, oh yeah, that sounds good. That sounds about right. But he's not making a ton of money. It's his last year. The two for, I think it's good that the Lakers didn't do this. Would have it made them contenders? I don't know. We'll have to see if AD can stay on the court this season. But two unprotected, granted the Seppian rule exists. They still have their 26 and 25? No, 26 and 28. They'll still have those picks untouched because the Seppian rule exists. Because very similar, what happened with the Brooklyn Nets, where they traded off everything just to think they could win, and then they didn't. It's a very possibility for these guys. So I'm glad they didn't leverage their future. They're well aware that they're going to lose LeBron for nothing. They're not going to trade him, and he's just going to go pick whatever team. AD, I'm pretty sure they're just going to lose him too. Not saying like he's just going to leave forever. I'm pretty sure they're not going to trade him, and he's just going to leave in free agency. So I think they're prepared for that, and I think that's what this was, and I don't think it's a bad idea. I think they're like, listen, LeBron, you wanted Westbrook. We gave you Westbrook. Just because you don't want him anymore, it's not. We've done what we have on our end. You win with him. If not, you're going to leave, and we're preparing for that. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. I think this is a good move.
There's no possibility LeBron is going to be on the Lakers in 2027, let alone 2029. So, like, that's just not going to happen. He's probably going to be retired by then. If he is still playing, he's probably going to be somewhere else. I mean, maybe he's still on the Lakers at that point, but I put it at like 0.5% chance of happening. And like, they had the opportunity to get DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan has said that he thought it was going to happen. He thought he was going to be a Laker last year. And seeing how well he played with the Bulls just must make LeBron feel so sick that he chose Russell Westbrook over DeMar DeRozan. Like, how delusional do you have to be to make that decision?
Yeah. No, that was on JJ's podcast. That was a really good episode. And yeah, he totally thought it was going to happen. When thinking about it in the moment, I probably still would have, as me, just a normal dude sitting here, I would have still, and this isn't even hindsight, like looking at because this was the Spurs DeMar DeRozan that would have gone to them. And I still would have picked him because he was still not an empty playmaker at the time. Like,
yeah.
Russell Westbrook, he's a good playmaker. Does he pad his stats? Yes. But DeMar's playmaking was affecting winning, rather as Russell's was not. So like I would have rather had him. Plus he is a better shooter. Both struggle from three, but at least he can spread the floor up to the mid range rather than like Russell Westbrook, who does nothing.
And he shot better from three last year than the majority of his career. It was really a breakout season for DeMar. I mean, he was a potential MVP candidate.
Right, and he could have fit in as that first scoring option, because that's what they needed with AD being injured and LeBron declining. They really needed that first or second, and DeMar's proven he can be both. He can be that.
Well, that's
first
why
or
they
second.
got Westbrook, because they thought he was gonna, be able to fill in and be the top scorer some nights, but ultimately he's just not efficient enough for him to be able to do that. DeMar would have been able to fill in. And he's, stays very healthy compared to these other guys. Right.
And the difference between him and is DeMar maybe doesn't help your spacing as much. He can space the floor. They're not completely leaving him open on three. However, he can play with no space, whereas Russell Westbrook needs space to play, if that makes sense. So they made the poor decision. What do you guys think? Do you think the Lakers should have made this trade? Do you think it was dumb? Comment below. Let us know. Teams that should blow each other up. Just blow themselves up. That's each other up. Anyway. These teams
that should blow each other.
Yeah, teams that should blow each other. We have our favorite couples. These are teams that we just think they're gonna be stuck in mediocrity. They've tried for so long, they gotta blow it up. I mean, the Magic were in the playoffs for like 3 years and they blew it up, and they didn't. That was their peak, and they knew it. I think they pulled the trigger at the right time. what teams do you think is just about time? Just do it. Just trade them. Start drafting. It didn't work out. Who are you thinking?
Well, I think an obvious one is the Washington Wizards. I think, they've got Beal, who they just locked into another supermax. That's just going to take him into his twilight years. And really, outside of that, they have nothing really. I mean, they've got some okay players, but nothing that really, polarizes me. Like, I simply don't give a damn about Kristaps Porzingis at this point. Their new point guard, I liked him in Denver, Morris, but I don't think he's going to be anything more than a top, like a 15 or the 14th best point guard in this league. I think that's cool and all, but they really don't have enough around their team for it to be interesting. And they haven't had enough top picks. Like the last time they did something worth a damn in the NBA is when they had young John Wall and young Bradley Beal, who were their top draft picks. And I'll let you comment on that in a sec. But the one other team I want to mention is another East team who, had some high expectations coming into this year, but due to one of their players making, terrible decision, they are handcuffed now, and they should, maybe consider tanking. And that's the Charlotte Hornets, because, of what Miles Bridges has done to that team, set them back. And they just really don't have a whole lot outside of LaMelo to build around, where if they could get a top pick in this draft, blow it up for one season, they could, really do themselves some favors in the long run. Whereas if you just kind of stick with what you got, I think LaMelo is probably gone in a few years.
Yeah, that's decent. Wizards, I'm not going to beat the dead horse. We constantly talk about how they should just kill this, not kill the franchise, kill the roster they have, trade away Porzingis or let Porzingis go, trade away Beal, probably Kuzma too. Build off see what you can do with Hachimura and Advia and Kispert. They're decent pieces. They're not going to do too much for you. I like Morris. Whatever. Bradley Beal has basically said on JJ's Reddit that he knew that he could sign with other teams. He just says it's really hard to win. I'm like, to me, I just heard I'm okay with losing. He's like, I make $50 million. I don't give a fuck about winning anymore. I was like, that's what I heard. Yeah. But if you guys heard anything different, yell at me. But I won't beat up the Wizards again. Hornets, that's interesting. I do think that roster would, if they were able to pull off, get really low and compete for the Victor Wembanyama lottery, I think Victor and LaMelo could be one of the great duos that we talk about for a long time. I think that would be perfect for them. However, I don't know if that's possible. I doubt they'll tank. I think they're still going to try to be competitive because Michael Jordan.
I mean, realistically, I think they'll probably be too good to be in that position. But I think it would be a great idea to tank for at least a season.
Yeah, it would. It would. And there's they could probably offload Rozier somewhere. I'm sure there's a market for him. And if LaMelo does get injured, and then Gordon Hayward, you might have to ride out his contract. But I can see some teams being into it. We'll see.
For sure.
One team I said was the Blazers. I think they've made a lot of offseason moves. I think their team has gotten better. But the best I think this team can do is still a 5th seed in this West. I don't think
the West is really strong.
Exactly. I think they might be able to get into the second round. I don't see them getting into the conference finals, even fully healthy. I just don't see it on this team.
It's going to take a lot from Damian Lillard. I mean, I just haven't seen something from him that in a couple of years that makes me think they're going to go that deep in the playoffs. I do love the Jeremy Grant edition. I think that's going to be a bigger impact than a lot of people are talking about. Yeah. And outside of that, I mean, I like their draft pick too, Shaedon Sharpe. I think that's a potentially great player. So, we'll see what happens. I think they've got a 3-4 year window, and I don't know after that. I mean, they don't realistically have as much talent as a lot of the teams in the West, but there's a lot of teams, including themselves, who have injury-prone players, so anything can realistically happen as well. So I can applaud them for putting their chips in and at least trying. And who knows?
Well, they
We'll
got
see
him.
what we get.
Yeah, they have to try. Dame wants to stay. They're gonna do whatever they can to
For
have
sure.
him stay. I do think I give him a max 2 years before because I do think they might be wasting some development with Josh Hart, Anthony Simons, and certainly Shaedon Sharp. We're just trying to win. I don't
Whatever
think-
about Josh Hart's development. I mean, Anthony Simons is starting. I'm not worried about him. I think
No, he's not
as fine.
Yeah, he has developed just fine. Yeah, I'm just saying, I don't think this run's gonna go anywhere. And then by the time they rebuild, where's Anthony Simons? Probably wants to leave and go somewhere else. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I do think Josh Hart.
But then you're in decent position for a rebuild because if you could trade one of those guys at some point, then you can do that. Or maybe Anthony Simons gets good enough and he's the leader of this team in a few years.
Yeah, over Dame, I doubt. I doubt that. But Josh Hart is a solid player. I do think he could be a never an all. I think he could have all-star type like numbers. I think he could get close to 18, 19 points per game. But I mean, he already scores like 15 points a game. But I really like him too. He's an on-ball.
He's
defender.
a fine player. I'm not worried about unlocking him. I think he provides a great role for the team, but I don't want him in like a in a starting position.
Oh really?
Maybe.
I think he's a starter in this league. I think he's a good starter as a 2 or 3 guard. I think that's fine. He's a great on-ball defender. He's a good shooter too. He's like
That's true.
I think he's a better KCP, and KCP can start on a lot of teams.
That's
But,
fair.
the last team, I think it's just the Knicks. Listen, like they've kicked this town down the road. Their rebuild was RJ Barrett. they got him. They're like, let's go, let's load up, free agents, come on. And then they got Julius Randle. I mean, they didn't develop him at all, and we're seeing that struggle, how it's taken so long because it's just he's having to compete at a high level automatically. RJ Barrett. And I think it would have helped him to have that slower start, that slower build. You see. Where all these things that were chastising for shooting, all this stuff, he could have had time, less pressure to work on them. It's the pressure on the player rather than they're like, oh, well, we wanted to be good, so we have to be good, and this is your like 4th season in the NBA or third or 4th. I think
he's looking pretty solid. I mean, he just got a $30 million a year extension. They clearly believe in him, and I actually will disagree with you on this. I think the Knicks are doing a good job at not blowing it up and bringing in Jalen Brunson. I think is a smart choice. He just looked really solid in the preseason game. I know just preseason, but I think like he's going to help be the glue guy for a lot of these players and hopefully help that development of RJ Barrett, who's only in his 4th year. I think there's still plenty of time to develop. He's still very young. And I think he can help some of these other younger guys develop as well.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Jalen Brunson signing, but it's the same thing as the Portland Trailblazers. I don't see them getting far in the playoffs whatsoever. I think they've improved. Yeah. I think they've gotten better. I just don't see them getting better. Granted, they're the Knicks. They could pull in a great free agent, which is always possible. But I think they should learn their lesson and stop trying to rely on pulling in a free agent like that. I mean,
but
I think
at this point, I think they're tired of being terrible. They were in the lottery for years, and they never, ever would get the number 1 pick or the number 2. It's just like wasn't happening.
They had to bribe somebody to get Patrick Ewing. Conspiracy theories on YouTube. You gotta look it up. But no, yeah, I mean, but they rushed. They were like, oh, we got Kemba, didn't work out. Fournier didn't work out. Taj Gibson, Randall hasn't worked out. He's worked out for 1 year. Well, he's up in the air. Rose has been a good player. But they draft these guys like Toppin, Reddish. I mean, they didn't draft Reddish, but quickly. I think they need a more of a chance. Like, Reddish was a project when he came into the league. I think he's still a good asset to have. I think you can get more out of him, but now he's just not getting played.
Like, you know why they're not getting developed. It's Tom Thibodeau uses an 8-man rotation.
And
he doesn't change that. So, like, it doesn't really make sense to hold on to draft picks if you're going to have Tom Thibodeau as your coach, in my opinion. It doesn't make sense to trade for young players like Cam Reddish either. Like, they traded a 1st-round pick for him. It doesn't really make sense because if you don't crack Tom's top 8, you're not playing at all.
Unless it's trash time. Or somebody really got injured.
Unless somebody gets injured, then all of a sudden you become part of the top 8 and you get a ton of minutes. I mean, when he was coaching the Timberwolves, He had Zach LaVine as a starter, and Zach LaVine tore his ACL. And so he inserted Brandon Rush into the starting lineup, a guy who was playing 0 minutes prior to this. And then he just put him in the same minutes that LaVine was getting. Like he was playing Brandon Rush for like 36 minutes a game all of a sudden. Yeah. It was like, I don't see the logic there. And it was like Brandon Rush in like his last year or two in the NBA.
Yeah, that we've talked. Thibodeau has to go. I just don't think this franchise is ready. The franchise is ready. Certainly some of the players can be, and the parts of the roster are fine. I just think it would have helped RJ better if they didn't just pull in all these vets right away. If they would have gave him time, less pressure, better environment to figure out his play rather than get figured out right now.
Who's in the way of RJ Barrett?
Who was in the way of RJ Barrett?
Do you think Julius Randle's in the way of him?
Thibodeau. Thibodeau's not good at developing
players.
Like
you're saying like players, like they've brought in guys that have then gained playing time over RJ Barrett. So I don't really understand what guys you're talking about.
Not playing time over him. He didn't have they're like, now they're telling him you got to run the offense just because other things didn't work out. Who's the point guard that they signed that just who's the big? It was a decent deal. They signed him when they got Randall. They're like, oh, this is what we got. Can't think of
Derrick Rose.
No, they traded for him. That was different. I can't think of it right now. I just think they should. I think it's time.
Kemba.
Hold everyone but him. Yeah, well, Kemba came a little bit after. That was last year. But the year before, I can't think of who it was. If you guys could think of it, comment. Let us know. But I thought the Knicks should blow it out. I know they're bad. So many teams the Magic were bad and they were good for 2 years. Then they blew it back up. I mean, and look what they have now. They have a really nice young core and nothing but promise. So maybe they'll end up. But who do you guys think should blow up the team next? Don't count the Wizards. We all know they should blow up. That's just beating a dead horse. Anybody but the Wizards. Comment below. Let us know.
The Orlando Magic should blow it up again.
Already.
Fake Paolo Banchero.
I don't know what else to blow up. Like, what do you expect to get back? But the preseason has started. A lot of storylines are starting. What did you notice? Did you catch any games? Catch any storylines? What out there have you really caught your eye from this preseason start?
Well, Anthony Edwards, looks great. Looks like a bona fide scorer. Ready to come out strong this season. I think he's going to be very efficient. He shot 9 of 15 the other night. And he got some buckets at the free throw line as well. Outside of that, I haven't watched a lot of preseason games. I do think the Nets are going to be, the most interesting team to watch. And, I'm excited to see what happens there. I think they have the potential to be really good, but they have the potential to be really bad too.
Yeah, it was nice seeing Ben Simmons play basketball again.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's probably going to be like the same player he always was, realistically. That's what we should expect. And people forget, that's still a great player.
No, yeah, he's still a good player, and I think the Nets are equipped to deal with it better than the 76ers were, his style of play. So I think that'll work out. I did want to talk, so Paolo had his debut, number 1 overall pick, debuted for the Magic. It was very underwhelming. He was 2 for 9 from the field, 2 from 3. His defense looked solid. Playmaking looked very unpolished. I mean, the guy, he had 4 turnovers, I think it was. I'm not too worried. I think it's not unheard of for stars to have a slow start. Trae Young was awful in preseason, awful in summer league. Pretty bad, pretty inefficient when he started this season. Now he's top 3-point guards in the league. So I'm not too worried. His athleticism was there, and his confidence to take the shots were there. I think it's just a matter of time that they fall. You saw the difference with Markelle Fultz missing from this is such a messy offense, and you're like, all right, they clearly doubled down on him leading this offense, and it's just kind of lost. I mean, Cole Anthony's able to create for himself. He did well. That's always going to be there, and that's why I think should be a good 6-man. I can't wait for Fultz to come back. I just want him to come back so much. I did see some more worry with Suggs. A lot of the same stuff we saw last season. And that does worry me more because I kept saying, I'm like, hey, this is rookie year. Give him a chance. I don't see. I mean, granted, it's only been like a couple months. I don't know. It is worrying me a little more to see from what I'm seeing. He was pretty careless with the ball. There's one on highlight. John Morant's. That was a pretty careless pass. And John Morant. Granted, it's preseason. It's preseason.
Sure.
Not every player cares. Wins don't matter in preseason, contrary to popular belief. They're testing out all this stuff. So when people are like, the Lakers are a mess again because they lost by 30 from the Kings, I'm like, okay, what? Like, they played like 10 minutes. The Lakers we will see the whole season played like 10 minutes. Nobody gives a shit. You know?
Yeah, I mean, the Kings had some better young players. Like Keegan Murray looked great again. I think Keegan Murray is a player to watch out for this year. The Kings might have hit on one there. Yeah,
he might fit into that rookie of the year. I mean, he looks like a guy that's not playing on his rookie contract. He looked like he's been in the NBA for a few years. And I mean, he's doing everything. Looks like he was doing what they needed. 16 points, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 3-pointers made.
Yep.
I think one thing about the Kings is they looked very self-aware, and I mean by the point, which is good. They looked like they're like, listen, we're gonna need to be able to shoot. If we're gonna build around Fox and Sabonis, we need shooters. We need guys, and they put up threes. They did everything. They need improvement shooting, and they did. It seems like that's their priority going forward. I like it. I like the direction the Kings are. That's what I take out of this preseason so far. Is the Kings are serious. I think they're moving in the right direction, and I'm hoping they start doing better like that.
Yeah, I like what they're doing. I think they're getting closer to snapping that long playoff drought. I think they have a really solid core of players here. I don't know if it's the playoffs are in the cards this year, but I think things are certainly opening up for them. And Keegan Murray, I think, is fitting in really well. Davion Mitchell looks like a solid player too. So they've been hitting on their draft picks these last few years, which is what they hadn't done years prior. It's why they were in purgatory for so long. They would only hit on like a draft pick here or there. Like it was DeMarcus Cousins and garbage around him for years.
Yep.
Isaiah Thomas was a good player, but he was the last pick of the draft.
Yeah, and they immediately traded him to the Suns.
Yeah,
about immediately.
He didn't play enough there, but he kind of blossomed at a weird point in his career. I think like he had his best season in the NBA in like his 9th year. So, it kind of an anomaly there. So hard to predict. But regardless, the Kings, I think, whoever the guys are that are in charge now, that replaced the old regime the last couple of years, I think they're doing a really solid job, and hopefully are gonna stop the Kings from being an embarrassment. Obviously, like people look down on them for not taking Luka and whatnot, but
as they always will.
Hopefully they'll be able to put that behind themselves.
Yeah, for sure. The last game I want to talk about is the Nuggets OKC game. So the Nuggets played fully healthy. I think after watching them, their offense looks fucking sick. Like that looked scary. Like, because now one thing that we didn't really see last year because they were injured is Aaron Gordon had to play a bigger role. So one thing that I forgot we'd see is he's a fucking lob threat. He's always there, and that's we got to see a lot of that. Michael Porter came out. One of the biggest pluses he has is when the offense is dead, he can just turn something out of nothing. You saw him. He was over in the right key there on the right wing, and he had him nothing, so he just did a step back mid-range win in. Thought nothing went down. Jamal Murray adds playmaking, adds shooting. That's a lot of what we saw. They added, and KCP. Barton was great for them for a few years. Did a little bit of everything. But KCP is what fits the starting five so perfectly. He's just off-ball monster. He does everything, defend. I think he's much better fit, especially with the personnel they have now. So I think the Nuggets, after seeing, as long as nobody has a serious injury, I'm going to lock it in. They're going to be the first seed, number one seed of the season.
He's locking it in. I think they're going to be great. They definitely look like the real deal, and they're healthy. I think for sure guaranteeing a top 3, top 4 seed, and definitely not going to argue that number 1 seed is very possible for them. And I like them better than I like the Clippers. I like them better than than the Lakers and the Wolves. But I don't know if I like them more than the Warriors. But they're probably my number 2 behind the Warriors right now.
Yeah. I put them above the Suns. Yeah, the Warriors. I think they have a chance to prove to us they can be a better team than the Warriors. I'm not totally sold that the Warriors are the dominating team in the West. That because of this. So, but yeah, it's good. That's good. So they'll be great. I just fired everything through the Nuggets. On the OKC side, there's not much to talk about because Chet wasn't there. SGA didn't play. They had same guys they have. Giddey looks great. I think he might have the biggest sophomore jump this year. His shots seem. I like to think it seems better. It looks better. It went in. I don't know. We'll have to see more games because he shot like 23% from 3. So like he's got to get that. That was his big thing, and I still want to see him more aggressive on offense. He can create. He can do everything. I just need to see him more aggressive and and find his own shot, which I still didn't see much in this preseason. Granted, we still might see it's a long season. We might see it. Trey Mann might be someone to look forward to. I mean, he played great. He was the star of the game. So I think he's someone to pay attention to, especially with all the injuries OKC has. SGA is going to play in and out like he did last season. So we'll see. Trey Mann, he impressed me this preseason.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's certainly a good bet that he'll be a solid scorer in this league. I can see him getting lots of opportunities with OKC. And Giddey, I think, is very slippery. He's very elusive. So he does a great job getting other guys open. And I think ultimately that's going to lead to some more open shots for him as well down the road. I think he's a pretty smart player overall. And he seems to have good court vision. So really like what I see with him leading the offense for OKC. And, curious just how they're going to look this year. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. They're probably still going to be pretty bad, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, OKC's going to be bad this season, which is fine. They want Victor, and Victor would be a perfect fit. That would be crazy. Having
Victor and Chet would be so dumb.
And Chet, and SJ, and Giddey, and Dort. People forget about Dort. I think that's a good team. Well, that'd be surprising.
I don't even know if Chet and Victor would be good together.
Chet's listed as a forward. I mean, I think he can spread the floor. Chet actually doesn't spend that much time inside, which is pretty rare of a big, and that's kind of why he was drafted so high. Is he's so effective as a Kevin Durant type 7-2 player. So I think, and Victor has the same amount of skill. So I mean, we have yet to see. We still have to see Chet on a court. Maybe Chet will win rookie of the year over Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah,
Victor.
Maybe. I think Victor looks like the real deal. I think he's probably gonna just dominate as soon as he gets in the league.
Yeah, they say he's the best prospect since LeBron James, but that's what they say about every prospect every year. So we'll see.
But I mean, he's for sure the best one since like Zion. I mean, him, Cade, and Zion were all pretty great prospects, but you compare those three in a draft, I'd probably take Victor as the best prospect. So, I mean, I can believe it.
Yeah.
I can believe he's the best one since LeBron. This guy looks crazy. He's 7'2". He can hit threes like he's Durant. He can block like he's Gobert. Like this guy's the real deal. And he has way better footwork than Chet. He has way better dribbling ability. So I don't know. I don't think that would be a great fit. I want to see Victor end up on Detroit, maybe.
That'd be nice. Okay.
Yeah. That would be I think a great spot.
Yes, sir. Cade and Ivy there. That'd be cool.
Okay.
But what really came out to you guys this preseason? I mean, it's not done. We still got games left. If you guys want us to talk about something specific, comment below. Let us know. Moving on to our final topic, which is our young star of this week is Chris Duarte. Very forgot about, super underrated guy. Talk to me. What is it? This is the Swiss Army knife of last year's draft. How far do you think this guy? How good is he? Let me know.
I think Chris Duarte has a great potential to be a 20-plus point per game scorer within a year or two. I think this year it's attainable for him to score like 17, 18 a game. and really want to see him become a more efficient 3-point scorer, because that's really where he opens up the game. I mean, he already shot 37% last year. I like what I see there, and he's a high volume shooter. So I think he's really fast paced too, and he's obviously older for a second year player. I think he's like 25, but still very young and has the opportunity to grow as he sees the NBA more.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course. I mean, very impressive. He had the season, set the record for the Pacers rookie debut, 27 points. Started off really hot. He kind of fell down. I wouldn't say he fell off. I'd say like offense has changed. They made some trades, new guys, etc. So I think he did. He started off really well. He does everything. Defense. I'm actually gonna say like now, he's the best. Right now, he's the best on-ball defender the Pacers have. Can Halliburton be a better defender? I think Halliburton has the better tools. Also, but that's never going to be Halliburton's role. Is going to be the main defender. I think Duarte has the ability to be the best defender on the team. He's very quick. Reaction time's great. Shoots. He can create his shot for himself. I just feel like he was always lost in the shuffle. He made a rookie team. I think he was very impressive. Not many people talked about him, and I think that's not enough. I think this guy did a lot for that team, scoring, does whatever they need, and that's super great to see. I think their backcourt is set with him and Halliburton. I think they're just drafting front court now and seeing where they can go. Hopefully, Benedict Mathurin can fit into that. The only downside is I think he takes when he's left to his own devices, they're like, hey, make offense. He takes too many contested jumpers, like whether it's on the 3 or free throw line jumpers. He's taking way too many for my account. I mean, sometimes they go in, more than often they don't go in. He just kind of takes these contested jumpers. Granted, he's stuck at the end of the shot clock. I just think you could do more. It's the NBA. We've seen other players do more, and it just doesn't work. I don't think it's clearly not the best shot or the highest efficiency. So I'd like to see him crack down on those. Now, Anthony Edwards had that same problem when he entered the league, and he seems like he's figuring it out. Granted, a lot of that time he's just making them now, so it's whatever. But maybe he'll just start making them, and I'll be like, all right, well, whatever if it goes in.
No doubt. I think I think all great points. I think he's going to have a ton of opportunity to open up his game more, and I think this Pacers team can surprise us and maybe be pretty solid this year. We talked about them being a team that can maybe make the playoffs this year. That would surprise a lot of people, I think. But the 8th, 9th seed, jump up in that play-in tournament, get into the playoffs, I think is realistic for them. You never know. The Hornets could fall back. The Bulls could fall back. Lots of teams could be worse. Maybe the Pacers get some magic in a bottle. I still believe Rick Carlisle's a good coach, and maybe after a year in this system, this team's gonna be more meshed.
Yeah, for sure. By the end of Chris Duarte's season, if you had to guess right now, how many All-Star games does he make?
By the end of his career, you mean?
Yeah, by the end of his career.
Maybe. I mean, if he gets to be as good, like his full potential, he can make like 5 All-Star games.
5. Okay. I think that's a bit generous, but I don't think it's too far off. I think 3 or 4.
If he made his full potential, I think maybe 5, but like that's his max probably.
Yeah. I mean, I think I see him a lot as a Fred VanVleet type player. Same, maybe not obviously different roles, but I think they're going to fit into the same skill set when you compare their careers side by side. I think they're going to look a lot like that.
Sure.
So I think 3 or 4 is in the car. I mean, Fred just made his first, so we'll see. I think he can get that far. Defense, he's got it all. I don't see any true weakness aside from shot selection, which isn't the worst thing. He plays next to Tyrese Halliburton, so I can certainly be covered up.
Yeah, and it was his rookie season.
Yeah, all rookies have poor shot selection.
Absolutely. They're trying to get their game going. They're trying to show what they're about. So
true. What do you guys think of Chris Duarte? What is he in this league? Do you think he's going to be a superstar? Do you think he's going to be an all-star, perennial? Comment below. Let us know. I want to hear what you guys think of him. You got anything else this episode? my guy?
No, I mean, I don't think so. Not off the top of my head.
Great. Well, this is sorry we missed last week. We were just busy because unfortunately this isn't our full-time job yet. So we have to
I
do
wish.
the mundane things of Minnesota life.
We gotta get on them. We gotta get on them TikToks. We gotta get in the algorithms. We just, it's hard. People's, we're doing our best here, but maybe we gotta push hard.
Maybe I got to be making TikToks about FREK. I got to be some freaky Nicki Minaj. Is that what you guys need? If you guys don't want me to, we'll start a GoFundMe saying, stay off TikTok because you're artless. That's what we'll do for us. But that's been all of us. That's just Strictly Ball Business, episode 56. We've made it pretty far, over a year now. Hoping to go farther. So subscribe, comment, like our videos.
Yes.
We just want to build a community where you guys yell at us all the time. That's all we want.
Yeah, we'll be back for more. So, we'll see you next week for episode 57. And we hope you stick around for that.
Thanks for watching. Shit. I didn't know it was